was listening to the radio in England a few weeks back, Radio 4, quite highbrow. There was a discussion about political correctness. My name came up straight away, right? And there was this woman on there going, oh yeah, well it's not right. Ricky Gervais, he makes jokes about fat people. He wouldn't make jokes about people, would he? And being fat is like being... What? No, it's not. What? You can't choose your...
Ricky Gervais, a comedian's take on woke culture. Ricky Gervais is a comedian known for his sharp wit and unapologetic humor. In recent discussions, he has tackled the sensitive subject of political correctness and its implications in today's society. His perspective often stands in stark contrast to the prevailing attitudes of woke culture, making him a controversial figure in modern comedy. The landscape of political correctness. While discussing political correctness on a recent radio program, Gervais found himself at the center of the debate. A contributor to the show criticized him for making jokes about fat people, arguing that such jokes are inappropriate.
Relax, I'm going to be nice tonight. I've changed. Not as much as Bruce Jenner. And I found out my crime was that I named her. Now, I'd never heard that term, before a day after the Golden Globes, and that was saying her old name, and even acknowledging that she used to be a man. But she did. I saw him on the Olympic Games. It was decathlon, it was in everything. He was all over the place. Shot put and pole vault. He won a medal. He was famous. He was on telly all the time. But, a big, famous man with a huge, I don't know, but I mean, I'm guessing he probably, he's a big...
This highlights a common argument against Gervais's style of comedy, which many believe crosses the line into offensiveness. Gervais countered this argument by emphasizing that being fat is not the same as other characteristics that individuals cannot control, such as race or gender. His insistence on this distinction is a recurring theme in his comedy, where he often points out the absurdity of overly sensitive reactions to humor. Jokes about immigration and cultural sensitivity.
Gervais has never shied away from making jokes about immigration, a topic that often elicits strong reactions. He humorously suggested that adopting a child from a developing country would allow him to check multiple boxes of social responsibility while simultaneously making a comedic point about the absurdity of such thinking.
His jokes serve to illustrate how virtue signaling can sometimes overshadow genuine concern for others. Gervais argues that those who claim to protect minorities through political correctness often patronize them, suggesting that these groups lack a sense of humor. This perspective resonates with his audience, who appreciate his willingness to tackle taboo subjects head-on. Offense and subjectivity. A significant part of Gervais's routine involves discussing the concept of offense. He points out that being offended is subjective and does not inherently validate an argument. He argues that comedy should challenge taboos and provoke thought, even if it offends some individuals.
According to Gervais, the goal of comedy should not be to appease everyone, as doing so would ultimately dilute its impact. He believes that humor can and should address controversial topics, allowing society to confront uncomfortable truths through laughter.
Transgender issues and comedy. One of the most contentious topics Gervais addresses is transgender issues. He has faced backlash for his jokes about transgender individuals, particularly in relation to high-profile figures such as Caitlyn Jenner. Gervais argues that acknowledging someone's past, such as their previous identity, is not inherently offensive. This stance has drawn criticism from many who believe it dismisses the experiences of transgender individuals. However, Gervais maintains that humor is a powerful tool for discussing difficult subjects, and that avoiding these topics out of fear of backlash stifles creativity and free expression. Cultural appropriation, a misunderstood concept. Gervais has also expressed his views on cultural appropriation, a topic that has sparked heated debates in recent years. He argues that the exchange of cultural ideas and practices should be celebrated rather than condemned. Gervais recalls a time when sharing aspects of different cultures was seen as a positive endeavor. He humorously critiques instances where individuals were criticized for adopting elements from other cultures, suggesting that these reactions are often overly sensitive. Gervais's take is that such cultural exchanges enrich society and foster understanding among diverse groups. Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes. Gervais's most memorable moments often come from his appearances at the Golden Globes, where he has repeatedly used the platform to deliver scathing critiques of Hollywood. In one of his most famous monologues, he addressed the audience directly, reminding them not to use their awards as a platform for political speeches. His humor often takes aim at the very industry that has awarded him, poking fun at the hypocrisy of celebrities who preach social justice while benefiting from a flawed system. He has highlighted the disconnect between Hollywood elites and the everyday experiences of the general public. The role of comedy in society.
Gervais believes that the role of comedy is to address the uncomfortable and the taboo. He argues that humor can serve as a coping mechanism, allowing people to confront difficult subjects in a less confrontational manner. By making light of serious issues, he hopes to spark conversations that might not happen otherwise.
His approach is not without its detractors, many of whom argue that his humor perpetuates harmful stereotypes. However, Gervais maintains that the intent of comedy should not be to offend but to provoke thought and discussion. Conclusion: the future of comedy. As society continues to navigate the complexities of identity, culture, and political correctness, comedians like Ricky Gervais push the boundaries of what is acceptable in humor. His willingness to tackle contentious issues head-on has earned him both praise and criticism, but it undeniably sparks important conversations about the role of comedy in society. In a world where sensitivity is increasingly prioritized, Gervais's perspective serves as a reminder that comedy can be a powerful tool for exploration and understanding. Whether one agrees with his methods or not, his impact on the comedy landscape is undeniable, and his legacy will likely influence future generations of comedians.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right, you know? It's... offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues, and sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that, but, you know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing, you know, because I'm not doing it for the 200 egos in the room. I'm doing it for the 200 million people watching around who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires. And freedom of speech is so important these days. I've reached the age now where I don't care anymore. It's a sin. To not to joke about all the bad things, that's a waste, because that's exactly what we should joke about.